Hello, I'm Gage Rago. This is a video project based on the Gilded Age era and the Progressive era.
Andrew Hernandez, who will be showcasing major points or factors in these areas through video game maps/areas. We hope you enjoy our video.
Industrial growth. During the Gilded Age, there was a lot of stuff happening, but one of the main things was industrialization. It was increasing rapidly. Many things became big during this era, like steel, oil, railroads, and coal industries. And there was new technology being invented. For example, the Bessemer steel production, which was the first inexpensive method for mass production of steel from pig iron. But there were also many downsides to it, since they weren't able to remove the phosphorus from pig iron, which would make the steel extremely brittle, and not to mention the CO2 that was produced due to burning off carbon from the molten iron. The steel was also very inconsistent in quality. But Gage, you might be saying, and who cares, since their money was the priority back then, and who cared how harsh the conditions were for workers? Well, did I mention that child labor was also a major issue back then? Imagine being a child working to help provide for your family, but you have to work 24/7 and constantly in risk of danger. But again, and who cares who gets hurt, or as long as the rich are getting richer, or who cares for estimated 35,000 killed just in 1900, and in over 1 million in injuries alone. In a single year, by the way. They could just tell the workers to keep working, or else they'd be fired, or if they tried going on strike or something. Captains of the industry. Some of the most powerful and richest people during this age were nicknamed captains of the industry for their incredible fortune in fruit business. For example, one of these men was Andrew Carnegie. He amassed $480 million throughout his time as one of the richest men in the world. To put it in perspective, today $480 million back then was $309 billion. That's about 61.8% of Elon Musk's net worth today. And you might be wondering, how did Andrew Carnegie gain so much wealth? Well, he gained that wealth through his steel industry and mass production, and later on he would go on to sell his company, which is now called U.S. Steel, and he would even donate more than 90% of his wealth afterwards. And let's not forget that he would also die a pacifist. Now, you might be thinking, wow, Carnegie sounded like a really great guy, but there are always downsides to such a successful businessman. Carnegie had built his fortune on horrible work conditions. The workers weren't making nearly enough money for how many hours they worked, and the safety was awful. He would even crush unions and work against making workers have better conditions. And he wanted to achieve world peace, but he can't even bring peace upon his workers or fairness. He once even called armed guards to break up a strike, which didn't end peacefully. Who could have guessed? In fact, it resulted in a bloody fight and left around a dozen people dead. He was even supporting the violence during it was happening. This contradicts his beliefs. So much for him wanting world peace. Let's not forget the monopolies back then also. Bigger companies would just buy out their enemies until they were driven bankrupt, and leaving thousands, even millions of people unemployed. And those people would possibly have to go to a job that was even worse for them before. Let's not forget to mention, their wages were always below minimum wage. Most of them probably weren't even making enough money to support their families, let alone themselves. They have to work from day to night, night to day, 24/7. You probably didn't even have vacations, and their only ones would be if they possibly had a horrible sickness that was contagious. Even then, they would probably still be sent to work more than 50% of the time.
The Progressive era. An era with such bad problems, it made changes that take place today. Oh man, look at this lovely family. We need to feed so they can live their lives. Imagine going to a local store and buying some tasty meat. Everyone needs some delish, tender, steamy, nutrition-packed primal meat after a long day of living. And say you shop here regularly and eat the product religiously. And boom! It's confirmed that you eat and you pay your hard-earned money for this filthy and unsafe product. Tales of rats, moldy meat, and human meat making contact with your food, and you could even be a part of this. But who said that? Excerpt A from The Jungle. Nasty thingies. Look at these nasty food place environments. This is probably how your food was made, or at least what it was around. This bowl of goo may be in your food. This can risk families' health, exposing them to typhoid, fever, cholera, tuberculosis, botulism, food poisoning, and dysentery. Keep in mind, this doesn't have to happen. It's only because the people that are already rich are giving way below bare minimum product, just to increase profit, not keeping in mind of the customers. Actually, I'm not giving them enough credit, since they do clean your food with bleach. Since these workers are making bad food, let's throw things at them and boo them. Conditions. Wait, it's not the workers' fault. The workers were desperate for work, and there was nothing stopping the owners from making them work in these terms. There is no standards here. Objects blocking walk space, forcing workers to parkour like an ape, getting through the woods. And there is not really anything stopping workers from falling into anything. This podcast on 123 Radio with my special guest, DJ Wicked. Any questions on this era?
Hey, DJ Wicked here. I'd be very pissed about these problems. What was done about these issues? What's the FDA?
Well, very scary people were created called the FDA, in line with the rules and protect the workers and the consumers. Always keeping the owners in check to make sure they aren't abusing anything.
How do you know this?
Mr. Coates, with an even better first name, told me about this.
That's so freaking cool. So Progressive Era was just about food?
Of course not. It was a call to action to solve some problems with the Gilded Age by adding to the DNA of American law, known as the Constitution, by giving deserved rights to people of different races. That's one example.
So this era protected the people?
Yeah, not just people, but life. National parks were made to protect nature so people wouldn't just take over and ruin beauty. Journalists like Upton Sinclair and John Muir, Dr. Harvey Washington Wehrle, who basically started the FDA, and Gifford Pinchot helped create policies for managing forests and public lands, which was passed into law by President Theodore Roosevelt and created by Congress.